Welcome back to another episode of Flyer Nation. I'm your host this week, Lauren Brennan. Today I will be talking to Lewis head men's and women's soccer coaches to talk a little bit about how their seasons are going. This season, both teams have struggled a little bit with their competition, but hopefully both coaches will have some great insight into what the future holds for their program. We'll be right back from a short break with men's soccer head coach Evan Fiffles.
Get caught buzzed driving, and you could do some hard time.
Craig, knock it off.
Sorry, Mom.
It could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. And that could set you back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Listen to me. I am captain of the track team. And if I'm late,
She doesn't really think she's going to get out of here, does she?
Be nice, she's new.
Hello, is anyone there? Ugh!
Wow. Even from our standards, you look awful.
Oh, sweetie, what happened?
Me? My friend Becky got to talk to this super cute boy, and I tried to act like I wasn't jealous, but I so totally was. And then out of nowhere, this concrete barrier just popped up. Maybe it was a semi.
You mean you were driving?
Yeah. I mean, I know the whole eyes on the road thing, but this was a super important text. Maybe you have to know, Becky.
Texting? Great.
But it was only like 5 seconds, and I'm a really, really fast texter, so it wasn't even a big deal. Actually, has she texted me back yet? Wow, I get like no bars in this place. I wonder if they have Wi-Fi here.
Welcome back to Flyer Nation. Today I'm joined with Evan Fiffles, head coach for the Lewis University men's Flyer soccer team. Unfortunately, this season has not gone the way you wanted to. How do you build on this experience and take what you learned in 2016 season?
Well, I think it's the big thing is to try to understand why it happened. You know, why we're in the situation that we're in right now. And you know, during the preseason, we played 3 very good teams. We played Northern, we played Valparaiso, and Charleston was one of the top teams in Division II. We played very well. But injuries come into play. Okay, how do you avoid the injuries? That's something that we got to look into. Is
right.
You know, most of them were during the game, so that's tough to go ahead and decipher. Definitely. But it's just kind of something that, why does it happen? Injuries are a big part. Youth. Okay, now we're expecting guys to go ahead and come in that we weren't expecting to go ahead and contribute, and now they have a shorter learning curve.
Right.
Where before maybe it was like a month, 2 months, a year to go ahead and get in and contribute. Now we're asking for them to go ahead in a lot shorter notice.
Okay.
And so I think those 2 big things that are coming to play. And then the game of soccer right there, a lot of times it's just one goal here, one goal there. So it's just that curve or that fine line in a couple of our 1-0 ball games. So it's just kind of a combination of things, not just one thing.
Right, so just gaining more experience as you go along.
Yeah, and it's a situation with these injuries, and then it continues. So we lost a couple guys for the season, but then we're losing guys for a game here, a weekend here with nagging injuries. So again, I think we started pretty much, for the most part, a lot of our games with 6 or 7 guys that have never played at this level before.
Oh, wow.
And so it takes a toll on you.
Definitely.
At that point right there, because obviously we haven't had a losing season in 23 years, and we didn't expect it. Nobody would have expected it for us to be in this situation that we're in right now, but it is what it is, and you got to do the best of it.
Right. So like you said, you've had at least 10 underclassmen start at least one game in 2015. In your long history as the Flyers head coach, is this a rare occurrence?
Yeah, using youth. We've always, if you're a freshman or a newcomer coming in, a JUCO transfer, 4-year transfer, and you're good enough, you're going to play. Okay, right. Some could go ahead and have experience at a certain level, club-wise, high school, very competitive program maybe, or the previous college, and come in as a freshman. And I've had freshman All-Americans before, but I think that number that we have been counting on this fall, that's the contribution, contribution to the situation that we're in right now. So it's not just, okay, 1 or 2 guys. All right, now it's 5, 6, maybe even 7 guys at a time in the same situation, trying to learn.
Right. So on the same note, do you place the same expectations upon the underclassmen as you would a four-year starter?
I think you place the same emphasis. Obviously, a lot of them haven't been in a training environment of ours, so they're not comfortable with that. So you could go ahead and tell them where they need to be at and what they need to do before they come in. But really, until you come in and experience the level and the speed of the level right there, I don't think you really grasp what they're kind of into and what they got to do at that point. So yeah, my expectations for somebody who's been in the program for 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years, my expectation for them, you need to come in shape, you need to be ready, and we try to do that as much as possible right there. So the tough thing is when they're coming in, we haven't seen them for 4 months. Okay, so the last week of April is the last contact we have with them, and then we can't do anything with them for 4 months. So it's almost, and then when they come in, we're playing our first game in 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
So that 4 months is absolutely crucial, and you got to have a foundation of dedicated athletes to take care of themselves for those 4 months. Because if they don't do what they need to do, then it kind of puts you behind the eight ball.
Right, and get out of
so.
shape and behind the curve.
Mm-hmm.
Traditionally, the GLVC is a very difficult conference to play in, no matter what the sport is. Did the lack of experience in relation to the other teams in the league show?
Well, I think it goes back to the youth. But at the same time, we started, I think, like our preseason game when nobody was injured yet. I mean, we lost 2 players in the spring injury-wise for the season. So that hurt us right off the bat coming in. And then we lost another 2 in the second weekend. So again, there's 4 players that we lost with that. But the conference it's a difficult conference. It's, in the last 6 years, we've had a national champion. We've had 3 Final Four teams. So in the sense that the top teams have a chance to win it all.
Right.
But the depth throughout that conference is difficult. So it's just not 1 or 2 teams. The depth is all the way through, the 16 teams. Even though we've struggling getting results, all right, it's still a competitive game. They have to go ahead and obviously show up at that point right there. So it's every day just kind of gives a different situation. You got to go ahead and adapt to it and try to do the best you can.
Exactly. So you celebrated Senior Day last Saturday against William Jewell. You've had plenty of classes come through Lewis before. What will you remember most about the senior class?
I think the biggest thing with this, out of the 6 that will go ahead and graduate, 4 have been here for their all 4 years right there since freshman. In their freshman year, they won 9 games. Their sophomore year, they won 11. Their junior year, they won 13. I'm sorry, reverse, 11 last year, 13 as a sophomore, went to the Sweet 16. So they have a lot of success on the field. All of them are very successful in the classroom and then off the field also. And this is a group of guys that we've had no problems with off the field. They carry themselves with integrity and dignity throughout their 4 years. Each of them, as I look at them right there, I think each of them will be successful in the field that they go ahead and pursue and in life. That's just kind of the mentality. I think this year, obviously, along with me, it's something that they're not used to, just like I haven't been used to at that point. So I think having this group also and being successful with them is a good group kind of maybe to go through what we've gone through right there, because it kind of just shows what you're made of. Okay. I think it's very easy for guys that go ahead and they could have pointed fingers to this guy or that guy or the coaching staff, and I think they've handled it very well. They understand the injury situation, they understand the youth at that point right there, and they've been good leaders right there and throughout right there, where I think it'd be very easy to go 180 in the opposite direction and not, just not be who they are at that point right there. So it's, that's what I take from that group right there, the seniors.
Okay. And then what has been the biggest takeaway from this season as a whole?
As a whole, I think it's just, you're always, I'm coaching for 30 years, and so I always pride myself on trying to stay up with, new things, the game, sports science, everything at that point. I think it just, you go back in your office and you sit there and making sure you're doing the right things, and how you approach it right there. So it's all been new to me. Okay, so it's, we're constantly looking at different ways. Hey, how could we go ahead and score? How could we go ahead and get a different result right there? And it's just something that you, as a coach, you just kind of always self-evaluate. And it's kind of something that we'll have to do. We've been doing for the 2 months, but we have to do in the off season right there. What we're doing is going to continue our success at that point that we've had in the past right there. Do we have to change things? Okay, you never could avoid injuries. Injuries are always going to be there. I could go ahead and bring in, a top recruiting class next year, but in the first weekend, if 3/4 of them go down, there's only so much that you could go ahead and control at that point right there. So we'll try to go ahead and throughout the off season, just preparation, making sure we're doing preventive injury stuff as much as possible so we don't get into that situation. But it's a different game now. Game now. My first 20 years when we played on grass, we had 2 ACL injuries.
Oh, wow.
Since we had the turf, okay, we've had 3
Even more.
3 AC in 3 years. So it's a different beast in that sense right there.
Right.
And so you have to adapt to that. And you got to make sure you're doing the stuff to go ahead and try to limit those injuries as much as possible.
Right. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. We're all hoping for great things out of your program and wish you well. We'll be right back with the women's coach, Chris Koenig.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
They said a bottle was just a bottle. That no one would ever notice me. But I knew I could be more. That one day, I would make people smile.
Welcome back to Flyer Nation. Now joining me is head coach of the Lewis Flyers women's soccer team, Chris Koenig. Thanks for joining me, Coach.
Thanks for having me.
There are only a few regular season games left. What have been some of your favorite moments of this season so far?
Well, I think we got off to a pretty solid start with our non-conference schedule with Saginaw Valley and Alderson Broadus, and it was important to play some difficult teams before we got into the GLVC. And really, I think considering some of the injury situations we ran into at the beginning of the year, I think we did a good job of kind of getting ourselves on track and having those early wins, which kind of set the tone for the start of the conference season.
Okay. Sophomore Jennifer Meyer has held down the goalkeeper job all season. What has made her so successful?
I think Jennifer is a shot stopper first and foremost, and I think being out last year with the injury and coming back from a difficult situation with her ankle. She worked extremely hard in the off season to prepare and spent a lot of time getting herself ready for this season, and it's shown. I think has the ability to keep us in games with her shot stopping, and I think she's been a big part of some of those clean sheets.
Okay. Sophomore Mackenzie Fuller was a new addition this year as a transfer from UIC. What has she brought to this team?
I think Mackenzie brings a soccer IQ to our program that we need in the middle of the field. Mackenzie's a fantastic technical player, but I think the decision making that she shows, in the middle of the field is really allowed us to build an attack, and it's been a welcome addition. She's been great with meshing with the team and coming in as a transfer. That's not always an easy situation.
Right.
But she's been fantastic in terms of both her play and what she's brought off the field.
That's good, so she knows the game inside and out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Senior Maggie Morin has 6 goals on the season and has cracked the top 10 in career goals here at Lewis. What makes her so dangerous offensively?
Well, Maggie's one of those players that every team that we play against is going to have to account for.
Right.
She's got a ton of pace, and she's created a situation for herself with the way she's prepared and the work that she's put in over the years to make a name for herself in the conference. And so every game that we go in, Maggie's getting the best of what the other team is going to throw at us defensively.
Right.
And to her credit, I think she's continued to put herself in a position to be dangerous for us, and especially with Jessica Chavez going down this year, returning leading scorer, a lot of that responsibility fell on somebody like Maggie.
Right.
And I think she's done a good job of stepping up and making sure that we still have the ability to score goals.
Okay. Senior Day is this Sunday. What type of impact has this group as a whole made on your soccer program?
This group has been a special group. I think this group has really helped change the dynamic of our program. They came in as freshmen and very early on decided that they weren't going to play like freshmen.
Right.
And so that you mentioned, somebody like Maggie and Gracia and Jessica Chavez, who's been out this year. I can go down the list. We have 8 total, and Leah Manning is a 6-year senior, which doesn't happen all that often.
Right.
They really decided that they were going to change the culture and make this a program that was not just going to be successful a year or two, but they wanted to try to build so that we can continue to improve the program, continue to develop players, and hopefully have even more success after they've gone.
Right. This team is in position to qualify for the GLVC tournament for a 2nd straight season. What are some keys to finish this season strong down the stretch?
Well, I think we have to continue to do the things each day to get better. We've put ourselves in a good position, I guess, going into the last few games and put some pressure on some teams to have to catch us. I think we always try to break the season into thirds, and we've been successful throughout the season doing that, and we're into our final third, and we need to have some good results at home to continue to keep ourselves in this position. But really, and I know it's the cliche that a lot of people don't like to hear, but we really are just focusing on Rockhurst. We are looking at that one game. And we put everything out in that game, and we'll refocus and then go into the game on Sunday. So right now it's just about preparing for Rockhurst and giving the best performance that we can this weekend.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Coach Koenig. Good luck with the rest of your season.
Here's to the things that can keep us safe. Those we use all the time with hardly a thought. Those that are silently standing by to save our lives. And now, those that we carry with us everywhere we go. Many mobile devices will now bring you wireless emergency alerts, real-time information directly from local sources you know and trust. With the unique sound and vibration, you'll be in the know, wherever you are.
Oh!
Checking your fantasy league?
Nah, just my 401k statement.
Nice. Where'd you find the money for that?
I just been saving a little every month.
I can't seem to save anything.
Well, what about all this? What about the money you're spending?
What money? It's gone before I can get my hands on it.
I got a pizza for a Todd.
Hey, can somebody spot me?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind.
It's 547.
Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org.
Coming up in the next few weeks on Flyer Nation, I will be sitting down with both men's and women's basketball coach and various players to discuss the upcoming season. Flyer Nation is your location for all things Flyer sports, so keep watching.